Okay, so welcome to Famous When I'm Dead, where artists tell the story of how they thrive while they're still alive. I'm your host, Sam King Davis. You can stay up to date on Instagram at Famous When I'm Dead. That's famous underscore when underscore I'm underscore dead, or on Facebook under the same name. If you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, you can find the video interview on our YouTube channel. And if you're watching, you can catch the audio version on our podcast. Just check the description below, and all the links will be there. So today we have a very special guest. He's known for his inventive, humorous, and spontaneous group compositions, which are kind of one part art and one part performance. He shook the caricature world when on his first visit to the International Caricature Artist Convention, he won Best Black and White Composition, Best Group Composition, Caricature of the Year, the Golden Nosy, which is the most coveted award, and then a bunch of other awards that I forgot to write down. And on the second year, he won a bunch of other awards. What did you win the second year?
Best looking artist, I
Uh,
think.
like best artist. Well, best artist of the year is the
No,
Golden.
best looking artist.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. Biggest eyeballs in the caricature community. Cool. So I give you the man, the legend, Daniel Stieglitz.
Hello.
There he is. There are those
What a
eyeballs.
nice introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. So, so how you doing?
I'm fine. I'm fine. You know, we're in the middle of this pandemic, and I still got work. Me, as I'm doing, I would say, or I used to do 80% live drawings, and all of that, as you can imagine, fell apart. But I still have work. I'm doing illustration jobs, and I'm doing those explain videos, and I have some personal projects I'm working on. So I'm very, very lucky that yes, I can write invoices.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
And you?
Okay.
How are you?
I'm doing the podcast.
Yes.
I'm working on a chatbot, which
Mhm.
is for an artificial intelligent chatbot, which
Mhm.
will be a digital twin for people and will automatically translate languages for them. So all I'm doing is actually building the character of the chatbot, the look, building out the robot appearance, so to speak, and all of the back end stuff. I have no experience with coding or anything like that, so
Mhm.
that's all the IT guys, but I'm just building the visual part of it. Yeah, and I have another project which I'm not sure I want to talk about right now, but
Yes. But you are a busy bee.
yes, I'm busy,
Yes.
but I wish all of my projects were bringing me money. That's the challenge, right?
It's not about money, it's about the love. And you will get a lot of love. I would think so.
You got to give the love to get the love. Actually, yeah, that's what I'm actually I did this seminar, this Tony Robbins, he did like a free seminar. Do you know this guy? He's like the
Mhm.
typical American hype sort of self-help guy,
Mhm.
motivational speaker guy. He's like the
Okay.
number one in the world. But he
Wow.
anyway, he did a free seminar, so I took that, and there was a good reminder in there, which was like, relationships are where we go to give, and love is where we go to give. It's not where we go to get. And I think that business is like the business ethos of today is actually pretty good about that. The startup or the entrepreneurial kind of world is very good about that concept. Like we're going to give as much value as we possibly can. We're going to try to like help people as much as possible in the best way, the most efficient way possible.
I think it's easy to think that way when you don't earn that much money yet. I think if big money is involved, then there will be some guy whose job will be to just squeeze out more money out of your business, and then the quality will be reduced and it will be the efficiency, and that's my opinion. But if you start, you can go full speed with the love thing and the quality thing and the giving thing, and hopefully you will never get into this situation where you will have to choose about this money making thing, or best case would be you can combine both, but who can?
That's the challenge, right?
Yes,
you have to figure out how to get enough money to put it back into what you're doing in order to make it even better, and also have enough income to where you can survive on that and just keep going like that. I've been looking at competition, which is probably not the best thing to do when you're starting something up, because last night I looked at the company that I kind of think is the closest to like what we want to do, and I just found out that their last investment, people invested into the company $66 million. And in our last business meeting, I was like, hey, I think we should pay someone to do a logo. And they're like, maybe you should do the logo.
Yes, so that's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, they have money, like the people I'm working with have money, but they don't want to, it's not to that point where they're ready to like dump a bunch into it yet. So anyway, it's good. I'm excited about it. We have new ideas. We have innovative ideas and different ways that different like little things that we're going to use to innovate. So it's exciting.
Yes.
So for all you who are listening who know what I'm talking about, stay with me, hang with me. It's going to be good. Okay, so why don't we talk about your story, like your life story in a nutshell. Let's just start like you were born in Germany.
Yes, okay. I'm once upon a time, there was a baby with big eyes. Yes, as most of the caricature colleagues or artist colleagues, I love to draw as a child, and I drew a lot, and I can concentrate pretty good while drawing. So during school, I could doodle a lot, and as you know, it's all about practice. So those doodles, in my opinion, was a lot of that
foundation.
The solid foundation you can improve on. And some teacher of me kind of discovered my drawing abilities, and he put me into the newspaper, the school newspaper. They only published 1 or 2 issues a year, but at least I was very quickly I became the number 1 illustrator in this, because there wasn't anyone else. So I was, and so it was the first time for me to publish stuff. Some doodles I did draw, hundreds of pupils were able to see. So it was very exciting for me, and as you can imagine, I improved. I love to read comic books, especially I started with Asterix. Asterix, yeah. Yes. So, and then a bit later came those Franco-Belge, bande dessinée. So like Möbius, or yes, Jean Giraud, Möbius. So those French.
No, I don't know this one. No.
Yeah, you don't know Möbius?
Mobius?
Mobius, yes.
Mobius, yeah.
Yes. So.
No, I still don't know Mobius.
Yeah, really, you really don't know him? No. Yeah, I think he's one of the best Möbius.
It's It's a little blurred there.
Blurry. Oh,
You
yes,
have a
because it's no
feature
face. Okay.
on your camera that's
Okay.
like blurring everything but your face.
But I was into comic and I love movies, so I discovered that storytelling was my thing. I loved, yes, this storytelling, not only drawing stuff, but stuff that at least told a little gag. I think a gag is already a story, kind of
Yeah,
story.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So most of the portraits aren't the story. Some
Yeah.
are, but some aren't.
I'm on board with you on that. I mean, even when I went to art school where I was there doing like really conceptual stuff, when I was doing just like one image,
Hmm.
um, there was always a story behind it. So whenever the critique came on, I would tell the whole story, and I even got some criticism for that because they were like, well, this image kind of tells its own story, and then when you
Mm.
tell your story about it, it kind of like steals the
Hmm.
implied story that's already there, you know? So,
I think
yeah.
in best case you're drawing, um, yes, produces stories in the minds of the viewers. So,
Yeah.
or at least give a hint of there might be a kind of story.
Yeah.
So storytelling and those comic books, they are caricatures. Comic book characters are caricatures.
So
Can we agree on that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Your upbringing or your parents were pretty supportive of you, I guess, then, huh? From the start?
Mm, I would say they could have been much more supportive. They could have supplied me with expensive art stuff, or so they didn't do that. But they liked that yes, they liked what I'm doing, and they didn't have a problem me going to the art school afterwards. So
Okay,
that's
okay.
already some kind of support.
So I guess like your beginning or your like sort of upbringing in your normal life kind of easily led into your call to action to be an artist, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, so that
Yes.
was a pretty natural progression.
Yes. Yes. I decided that I like to draw, and I like storytelling and movies. So my first plan was to do animation because it's the combination of drawing and storytelling and movies. So that's where I started studying in
Hmm.
Kassel. It's more or less this is Germany. Kassel is here, more or less
Uh-huh.
in the center of Germany.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so I moved there, and it was so inspiring. All those film students, and the animation students, and the illustration students, and the photography students. So, and it's an art school where you don't have any grades, and you don't have uh, any homework or anything else. So everyone could do what he or she liked to do.
Hey, thanks for watching Famous When I'm Dead podcast. This episode and all future episodes are going to be available on any one of your favorite podcast apps. I'll also be making all of my interviews from last year available as we move forward. This podcast is free for you to listen to, but it is not free for me to produce. Currently, it's about $140 a month to produce this podcast, if and I hope I can keep my video editor. So I want to give a shout out to the patrons, Tom Lambert and Len Davis at the $10 level, Chance McGee at the $5 level. You can find him on Instagram at Chance McGee Kunst. Also, Darren Kennedy and Joan Fleming at the $2 level. You can find Darren Kennedy at DK Delicious on Instagram. Love that name. And you can find Joan Fleming on Instagram at Caricatures by Joni Fleming. If you are still listening at this point, chances are that you do get value out of this podcast. If you are able to and you want to show us some love, be sure to pop over to our Patreon page. It's Patreon, patreon.com/famous when I'm dead. The link will be in the description below. Check out our membership tiers. The $10 a month tier even includes up to 4 live critiques each month from professional artists that we interview here on this channel. If you're strapped for cash and you still want to show us some love and support, make sure that you share the podcast with friends, family. Maybe you have students that might be interested in hearing the stories of these professional artists. We also have a pretty exciting secret project that we're working on. I won't go into details here, but if you are interested in teaching or becoming a part of a new kind of online art community, be sure to send me an email at samuel@kingdavisart.com. So make sure you go to Instagram at famous_when_I'm_dead and stay up to date on all the new exciting stuff we got going on. Thanks for watching, and be sure to leave us a thumbs up and a comment below.
For 5 years, and afterwards everyone got an A grade, more or less.
Was that a college or a high school?
It's high school, yes. It's no, I'm not sure if we don't have that in Germany. It's called university. It's
how
art
old
university.
Were you when you went?
20. 19
Okay.
or 20.
Okay, so that would be university or like
university.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does the high school system work in Germany? Do you guys have, like, here we have a thing called Gymnasium in Prague?
Yes, same here.
Yeah. So you go to a school specifically for what you're interested in high school?
Gymnasium is high school?
Yeah, but
no,
gymnasium...
most of these gymnasiums aren't specifically about something you can or cannot. It's just this high grade thing. Yes, but it's you aren't specialized yet, so it has nothing. There are very few art gymnasiums in Germany, but I went to a totally normal physics, chemistry, and those were my...
Okay, so you graduated when you were 18 with the primary education.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Okay. Yeah, because here they have a thing where you can split off, I think, when you're 16 and go to a gymnasium specifically for what you're interested in.
Yes.
We have a version of that in the U.S. called the trade school. There's also, they call them magnet schools. I don't know why magnet schools. When I think magnet, I think like the magnetic force, but yeah, those schools are specifically dedicated to the arts or, whatever particular thing that child is good at.
Maybe it's Magneto. The
Magneto.
X-Men. Magneto. You say Magneto?
Yeah, Magneto.
Okay, why don't you say Magneto? Isn't it magnet?
Okay. I don't know. That's just the way they pronounce it, I guess.
Magneto. Okay.
Yeah, maybe it sounds cooler. Magneto.
Yes.
You know what's funny is you're on, for the podcasters who are listening to the audio version, you can't see this, but you have a filter on your camera, which is fine, but it only focuses on your face and your body. Everything else is blurred, but every now and then when you move, there's a caricature in the background that the camera picks up on.
Yes. Do you want me to turn off that?
No, it's okay. I'm just saying it's funny because there's this like really crazy caricature of you in the background.
Yes.
And like every now and then the camera mixes that up for your face. There it is. Yeah. You got some good ones. Good ones.
Yes. Only the good ones. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess you didn't really, I mean, was there any point where you had some resistance or some doubts, or there was something that happened where you thought, I don't know, this might not be the easiest path here?
I would say there was a point where I just wanted to be an art school teacher. So this would be the kind of, let's say lowest point of this art adventure I would take.
Ooh, so, careful.
Yeah.
You got Jan Optebeck over there.
He's been for 30 years. You know how busy he is beside this his teacher stuff. But I would be very interested. I think it's both of my parents were teachers, so I love this profession. And in Germany, if you're an art school teacher in a gymnasium, you have a pretty good life. My art school teachers, they were like reading newspaper all day, and so you can start painting, and okay, you get A, B, A, C, C, okay.
Yeah, but some people that's not, like for me, retirement, for example, means something different than what other people think of as retirement. Like this kind of life where you're just reading the paper and not really doing much.
Yes, I was I was inspired. I would have been a complete different art school teacher. I would my thing was I will show them how to draw faces. I will show them what I in my art school. I didn't learn anything in this gymnasium. Really, nothing in terms of art.
You mean in the college or
In the
high school?
college? No, at that high school gymnasium. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And yes, so I would have. I think I would have been maybe a good teacher, and it's a pretty good salary, and you have plenty time for your family. You have those vacations and those. So, kind of something in me still wants to be an art school teacher because it's such a nice life, and you don't have to struggle with invoices and jobs and income. So. But I was, for me, the direction was always clear to do something with my drawing abilities. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Did you reach any snags or rough points? Like, was there? You said that you were thinking about being a teacher, but then you kind of saw that as the lowest possible option.
No. Yes, I think lowest in terms of adventure and doing your thing.
Yeah.
I would say not low in terms of it doesn't. Don't want to sound how do you call it? Despicable
Insulting.
Or insulting. Yeah. No insulting. Just it's a kind of the easy way. That would have been the most, in my opinion, easy way.
The easiest, softest way. Yeah.
Softest way. Yes.
Yeah.
And when I finished this art school, I finished with a movie. And because I wanted to, I studied most of the time. I studied filmmaking, directing, and screenwriting. And when I finished that, there was some kind of low point because earning money with directing, and in this city where I studied, there is no film business, and there are so many people studying film and directing. So the competition is pretty big. And then my wife, I married with the age of 25, something like that. And she got very sick with cancer, blood cancer, leukemia. So, and at that point, it was for me very clear that all those doors closed in terms of directing, because directing means spending time outside and work with actors on a movie set. But beside the filmmaking, directing stuff, I very quickly started to draw storyboards. Mm-hmm. When you think when you know something about filmmaking and you can draw, the first thing is storyboarding, the very immediate media. Mm-hmm. So my film colleagues, they knew that I was quick in drawing, and they knew that they could communicate with me in film language. Mm-hmm. So I was very, very busy in storyboarding, and then I earned my first euros with working for advertisers, commercials. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I want to ask you. About that. Like, that must have been really hard. And she's healthy today. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's great. That's a miracle.
Yes.
Yeah, because I know leukemia is really hard. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yes, it's no fun, but it's very much explored. So there are very good treatments, and but it was a complicated and yes, anstrengend. It needed strength this time, and needed strength from the family.
Yeah. And yes. You guys have, in Germany, you have a really good public healthcare system.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's the joke about the Breaking Bad. You know the show Breaking Bad?
Yes.
Well, what if Walter White lived in Canada?
Yeah.
Well, he would just go to the doctor, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And there would be no show.
So no financial problems with that, but I had to earn some money, at least for it wasn't the doctor's costs, but just paying the rent. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mortgage and everything. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So,
Caricature. There was a wedding. A good friend of mine asked me, could you draw the people at my wedding, and I will give you $200 And I'd say, what? 200? Yes, for one evening? Okay. And you give me the money, so anyone who doesn't like their drawing, they can just okay, so no pressure there. And that's when I tried it, and it was such a nice evening. And on that day, if I think if that day or night went differently, I wouldn't draw caricatures.
Uh-huh.
In my experience was that very good caricatures I did on that in that night. People said, "This isn't me. I don't have that double chin. It does. Do I look that way? Do I look that way?" And caricatures that I really messed up, people said, "Oh, it's just his eyes. Oh, it's totally his smile." So
The ones that you made like really generic and pretty, yeah.
yeah, or I just didn't catch the. I really made mistakes in my head. Was like, fuck, that was the wrong stroke.
Huh, that's
And the
such an
people liked
interesting
it.
psychological thing, isn't it?
Yes,
It's like people almost don't want to accept what they actually look like.
yes. And for me, it was all the pressure went away. I was looking around and saying, so you really don't see the faces? So I can draw whatever I like, and you're most of the time happy, and you say, oh, I would love to draw that way. And so, and the $200 were a surprise for me.
Uh-huh.
And then I learned to know that I could have taken $500. That's the normal pay for salary for a wedding caricaturist. So that very soon there was a DJ who said, "Oh, sometimes a guy doesn't have time. Do you want to draw for me?" And that's when I had my first wedding gigs, and the people and I was improving, and the people liked it, and there was money, and I did a website. And in the second year, there were 5 weddings or live gigs, and the year after that, there were 20, and now
Wow.
there are, let's say, 100 live gigs a year,
Wow, awesome. Yeah.
despite any pandemic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yes,
Let me ask you, was there someone who came along that you looked up to? Was there a teacher or a guide or someone that you found like early on? It could be just one person or it could be like a group of people, or was there someone who was like inspirational for you or taught you?
in the beginning, no, because I really didn't know that there was this live drawing community.
Hmm.
But I started to Google. I wanted to improve, and how do you say it? I found the first Tom Richmond
Uh-huh.
before his Mad Caricature Art book came out. He had this already his blog, where
Hmm.
all the stuff was already there.
Hmm.
There were how to draw eyes and squeeze and this everything, all his let's say miracles
Thought
or all
his thought
his
process was there.
secrets. Yes, they were already there. So I printed them out, and yes, if you have a large face, you have to squeeze. Yes, and you can't. So for me, this was the biggest
Revelation.
how to draw live caricatures,
Okay.
and then I started to Facebook and explore, and then I found. The madman from the California Boys, Kapnicki,
Kapnitsky, yeah, yeah.
Kapnicki, and and then anyone else. So then I went to Caricature, and this whole world
Yeah.
was there. Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. We have the same teacher. We have the same kind of like guide. That I also got Tom's book after it was published. Um, my wife Kate was working at the zoo painting faces, and she actually recommended that I do caricatures. So I just asked one of the young, zit-faced teenagers, like, "Hey, where did you learn to do that?" And he showed me the book, and I
Yeah.
got it, and that's how I learned. Yeah. Yeah, just practice like that. And then actually I called Adam Pate. You know Adam Pate?
I think from Facebook. Yes.
He's like the
Yes.
1 minute. He can do caricatures in 1 minute.
Ah.
He's like
Yes.
the
Yes.
one
Yes. Yes.
minute
Yes.
caricature guy. Yeah, and I called him and he recommended that I go to ISCA. And at that time I was already drawing caricatures on the street. Like I was
Hmm.
already
Yes. Yes.
powering
Yes.
through
Yes.
and like just kind of yeah. So, that's interesting. So that's how you got started with caricature. Was there anybody who came in and helped you out with the whiteboard animation, or I suppose that was like your schooling and stuff, right? That sort of helped you with that.
Yes. How did that went? I'm not sure. I think it was just a screen capture software I worked with at that time. There was no iPad yet, but there was a screen capture software and I was thinking about what if I just capture my drawing in Photoshop, my digital drawing, and couldn't you do something with that, like it's some kind of animation? And that's when someone was looking for a commercial for I'm not sure, it was a trailer, movie trailer space, and that was my first whiteboard job. And from there on I tried to improve in that. And then there was a good friend who worked for German television, and they needed those whiteboard animations frequently for, it was some science magazine, science stuff. So they had a topic every month or every 2 weeks, and they needed yes, hundreds of whiteboard animations. And it was not only very much of experience but money, and it was some kind of a regular studio stuff beside my live drawing. At that time, I already went in those two directions: a bit of illustration and whiteboard animation and explain video and graphic. Even it started with graphic recording and the live work. And then I very quickly learned to know that the live stuff is much more good paid, you know. And the money is much easier earned. And so I tried to reduce the illustration stuff, and I only went into I want to do gigs, and I want to do the large, the big ones, the events, the galas, you know, the fair, the trade exhibitions where the big money is. So I went in all my advertising and my homepage into, I am the one for if you want the best caricature live artist in Germany, you hire me, and I will be the most expensive caricature artist, but I will be the best. So that's kind of the direction I went in my advertising thing. And fortunately, I had this other direction now in the pandemic. This year went totally into the loo.
Yeah.
And I squeezed this one out, and yes, fortunately there are enough jobs.
Nice.
Yes. Because it's very hard if you're only in the live caricature thing, and you start to forget about drawing. You're just into noses, faces. So there are some very good caricature artists that can't draw a hand because they only draw faces.
Yeah.
And everything else, can you draw me a horse? A horse? So I always wanted to draw everything. I want to be able to draw everything, and to be a good illustrator. Yeah. So yes.
Have you heard of Drawsome.com? Of course you haven't, because it hasn't officially launched yet. But I have talked with Manny Abatizian, the founder, about it in detail, and it's gonna be awesome. Or should I say, drawsome. The Drawsome app is an exciting new platform that's coming soon for artists and art lovers that's going to change the game. It's a creative social marketplace where artists can post your artwork, receive commissions, and even turn each post into a print-on-demand product that's drop-shipped directly to your customers. It means that people can choose if they want your design on a print, mug, t-shirt, whatever, and you don't have to deal with the printing or the shipping. All you have to do is make the artwork, and the app does the rest. You want in on that, don't you? Hop on over to drawsome.com. That's DRAWSOME.com, and sign up to be the first to receive updates and news as soon as it's launched in iOS, Android, and web. Go sign up, drawsome.com, and we'll keep you posted. Well, I know we've both been through, I mean, everyone's has been through 2020, and your wife went through leukemia, but is there any other challenges that you faced that you had to overcome, maybe more on the career side? Was there any like pitfalls or snags or anything that you had to kind of navigate around in order to keep things going with your art career?
You mean in live caricature? I think
Yeah.
the biggest, let's say, hole you can fall in my opinion, is that at least in Germany, it's really pretty easy to earn good money if you can do what I do. Mm-hmm. Drawing live caricatures on weddings and trade exhibitions and business parties and something like that. And I think it's very easy to just sit back and just do that, what you do, and don't improve, and you just say, okay, that's so easy. It's a bit like the first thing with the art teacher. I think art teacher is a pretty easy, maybe, I'm nothing against Jan, if you're listening now. It's a tough thing that you do, yeah. So you're our hero. But you know what I mean. It's very easy to sit back and just do that thing because money comes and people are always happy. You get all those shoulder claps and it's so good. Oh, thank you. And you get the good money and you travel and you sleep in hotels.
You fall right into the comfort zone, right into the bubble.
Yes. And I think this is you have to decide, do I want to stay there? Because there were some colleagues who really got some kind of depression out of that because they learned to know that they are stuck and they didn't improve and they only did their thing and they were like, there are other artists, okay, I don't care, I do my thing. So that I think there was one point when I, maybe for a few weeks or months, I said, okay, I found my thing, family, so my wife isn't ill anymore, so let's just relax. And yes, so I would recommend to always stay hungry and never stop learning and never stop exploring, because the art has so many possibilities and so many regions where you can not only go but earn money too and discover new things. And the body of making art has so many muscles. Mm-hmm. And if you only stretch one muscle, your art body will be pretty weak.
Yeah.
So you should improve in all those muscles.
That's a good analogy. And that analogy can be applied also to just art in general, because I know when I was younger, at least growing up in the Midwestern United States, it was very blue collar. It was like, learn a skill, learn how to do construction, learn something like that. And that stuff's good to have those skills also, because I think they all play into each other. But my point is that my conception of being a professional artist was like this kind of ivory tower. I had no idea that, like, I didn't think about it. And then when I became a caricature artist, and that like art became my main career, I started looking around and I'm like, oh my God, I can do digital art, I can do 3D art, I could do rigging on, like, did you know, like, on the movie Klaus, like the lighting, just the lighting was like 100 people on that team, the lighting. So for me, I was like really surprised of like all of the different possibilities. It was almost like I went from like gallery artist in my mind for like what an artist is, and maybe some illustrators and graphic designers over here, to like when I really looked at it, it exploded and there's like this whole world of things that I could do with creativity. So that was a real awakening for me. And that muscle, you could be any one of those muscles in that body of art. You can be in animation, design, illustration, storyboarding. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. There's like such a huge amount of possibilities. So
Yes.
for anyone out there who is not sure that they want to be an artist because they're not sure if there's going to be work, that's the
There
very
is.
last problem that you're going to have.
But it isn't that easy to get into. So I think because there are so many professional people in those different areas, so you really have to get good
Yeah.
to get into
Yeah.
it. And that was the thing when I did the caricatures too. I didn't want to only draw faces. That wasn't that interesting in me because if you take Tom Richmond and his methodology, his method, it kind of gets into a like a machine. You become the Tom Richmond machine, let's say that, and there are people sitting down in front. Okay, nose a bit small. Okay, eyes. Okay, a bit more together. A bit. So it's kind of for me. It is very quickly. It started to become the same
Mechanic.
procedure. A mechanic, yes, and it isn't bad because if you get better in that, you will get quicker, and it isn't stress anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when I started to do those body situations and those hobbies, and because the most fun part for me wasn't the face anymore, but the hobby and the people, the stuff that the people told me. Because I think there's a huge difference. I wanted to talk about that between the in America live caricature and in, let's say, Germany or Europe. I think in the States, most of the live caricature artists, they work in theme parks or in beach
Festivals.
boulevards and festivals and those fairs. Um, and the people, I think there are many customers that want to get the crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They say, oh, those are crazy characters. Let's go there. It's like paying, um, let's. It's like paying money for a roller coaster ride. The very crazy roller coaster. Let it be the craziest thing, and let's get a caricature that's like the California Boys. For me, the California Boys stand for that craziness and the possibilities that are in live caricature. But I think that they are 20 or 30 minutes per caricature, isn't there? More or less.
I'm not sure how long they take, but yeah,
Okay, but in
color
Germany, or
probably 20. Yeah.
yes, yes, I think there are live caricature artists that work like me, like let's say Nolan with his um,
Over the line.
over the line and all those. So there is the same procedure like in Europe too. But I think those are two completely different kind of approaches to caricature. The one is be colorful, be crazy, be yes, and the other one is pleasing a customer who doesn't have any clue about caricature, who is just at some kind of event and has 3 minutes or 5 minutes time and wants to be some at in no way can be can get angry, can be what could you say, insulted. So it's always like driving with a handbrake on. You know what
Ah.
you can do with a face, but always. No, I'm not the one who's drawing pretty faces. For me, caricature is caricature, and if there's a big nose, there has to be a big nose. But you can always draw it in I would say,
Sympathetic.
decent, sympathetic way. Yes, yes, yes. And there's the trick with the hobbies is when you do that caricature, and the people start talking about their hobbies. No one chooses one's face. You know,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
born with your face.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some people have the humor and they can laugh about their face, but there are many people who just, okay, I don't like my face that much. I would love to look like Brad Pitt. But they did choose their hobby and their life. So if you draw someone who says, oh, I like to play soccer and I have 2 children and I have a dog, it's a very generic hobby. But if you draw his body playing soccer and you can imagine, can not imagine, but can fill into boys and their names and the dog, you will touch him. That's me, that's my life. And he doesn't connect that much with his face because it's the Tom Richmond kind of okay caricature, not over the top, but hey, those are my boys. I'm playing soccer. That's my thing. And that way you can and there's some kind of backdoor for humor. Because you can insult him with playing soccer. You can like him losing or playing soccer in his underpants or not being able to hit the ball, or you can be as funny as you like.
Yeah.
Because it's still his hobby and the face is not over the top. So and I started to love that and love that approach and to get better and better and better in drawing anything. Because when you start asking people about their hobbies, you get anything.
I love that too. I love when people ask me if I can draw something and I can like confidently say, yeah, I can draw anything.
Yes. Yes.
I might need a reference, but I can still draw anything.
It's even better if you don't need reference. So that's I try to improve my library, and I'm always happy when I say, I didn't know that. Like how do you call those? Yeah, no, bad example. So that's when I went to this ISCA thing. I said, let's do something with not only faces but with body situations. And I love this South Korean artist Kim Young-ji. Anyone knows him?
But you're the Kim Jong-gi. You're the German Kim Jong-gi.
Yeah, I think he's like there, and anyone who does group compositions tries to do something, but we are all down there under the table. So for me, it's like no way you can compare me to him. But
I don't know though. I mean, maybe he's better at it, or maybe he can do it from different angles or whatever. Or his is more realistic, or maybe his visual library is a little bit bigger. But the whole time
it's like insane. It's insane. I think he draws every day for 10 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't do that. And I think he started very early, and he can do anything. For me, it's incredible. It's incredible. But to at least try, let's jump into the cold water and not only do faces and not only do body situations, but try to do a group composition and try to improvise. I play improv theater, and that helps me, and that helped me a lot in my art thing, to just go with the idea and to enjoy failing and to enjoy being in the moment and being creative, and never any stroke is unerasable. So any stroke matters, and you're in the process all the time, and that's what I enjoyed that much in those group compositions. And I think
it's also not fun if you don't, if you're not risking failure, if there's no chance that
it
you
isn't
have
exciting.
to.
It isn't that exciting.
Yeah.
And if you go for perfection, I would always recommend doing pre-sketches and work on the faces and try to get most out of a face. But if you want to be creative and enjoy that moment, I would always recommend don't do a pre-sketch. Start with ink, and make a decision. The nose will be, and the eyes will be, and then you do. And if you fail, you will learn by failing. I think you will. There will be some very very small. It was the wrong decision. Can't you see it? It doesn't fit, because his nose is big, but compared to his chin and his forehead, it's actually small. So
now we're getting into now we're kind of getting into like the educational theory, because I would love to talk about this, but we're running low on time. But yeah, I mean, that's just to make my point, that's one of the things about like the current state of education that's a little off, I think, which is that like there's this grade system, and if you get an F, if you fail, then you fail, and that's it. There's no like it would be okay even if like the system was the same, but if you fail, there's like some extra training there or some assignment to do to like show what you learned from the failure or whatever, because failing is such an important part of getting better. And it's also like I think people are trained not to fail in the school system, and really it should be the other way around, because that's where
Yes.
innovation and creativity, and that's what makes learning exciting, you know.
Yes. I think some in filmmaking, someone as I read somewhere that the biggest fear or the most bad thing that can happen to you if your first movie is perfect and a big success, because you think in that point that you can do anything and that you have it all already. And there are so many people that do one great first album or first movie, or and the second one they start seeing, oh fuck, okay, I didn't
Yeah.
know, okay, fuck, I didn't know that, shit, there are so many.
Yeah.
So if you start with failures, and you will get better and better and better and better and better. So and
Yeah, it's more sustainable, or it's like
mhm,
more solid when you learn that way. Yeah,
mhm.
it's more everlasting. Yeah. So I'm gonna go live. Ready? We'll do some questions. Yeah. Do you have?
Okay, yes.
We're at 48 minutes. You have time to do that?
Yes, we have. I have 3 more minutes. Yes. Okay, it's
All
live
right. I don't.
from New York.
Nobody's in the chat yet, but that's fine. So we'll just start like this. So welcome to the live cast of Daniel Stieglitz
Yes.
Q&A. So
Yes.
I actually kind of like you talked about liking to tell stories, and I try to model my interviews after the hero's journey. So we're at the part now where you return home and you're sharing the elixir. So,
Yes.
so I want to talk about things that we could give back, like advice or experiences or things that we can share with maybe people who are unsure about their journey moving forward in the arts. Right now, it's a hard time with the lockdowns and everything, or someone who's just starting off and they're not sure, or even someone who like really knows that they're an artist, but their parents are telling them they have to do something else. You know, they have to be a doctor or an engineer or something. Um, so these are just some people that might need to hear this, but I guess the first question is like if you could whittle it down to one principle that you have practiced to gain success and keep it as a professional artist, or keep yourself moving forward as a professional artist. Hey, thanks for watching Famous When I'm Dead podcast. This episode and all future episodes are going to be available on any one of your favorite podcast apps. I'll also be making all of my interviews from last year available as we move forward. This podcast is free for you to listen to, but it is not free for me to produce. Currently, it's about $140 a month to produce this podcast, if and I hope I can keep my video editor. So I want to give a shout out to the patrons, Tom Lambert and Len Davis at the $10 level, Chance McGee at the $5 level. You can find him on Instagram at Chance McGee Kunst. Also, Darren Kennedy and Joan Fleming at the $2 level. You can find Darren Kennedy at DK Delicious on Instagram. Love that name. And you can find Joan Fleming on Instagram at Caricatures by Joni Fleming. If you are still listening at this point, chances are that you do get value out of this podcast. If you are able to and you want to show us some love, be sure to pop over to our Patreon page. It's Patreon, patreon.com/famous when I'm dead. The link will be in the description below. Check out our membership tiers. The $10 a month tier even includes 4 live critiques, up to 4 live critiques each month from professional artists that we interview here on this channel. If you're strapped for cash and you still want to show us some love and support, make sure that you share the podcast with friends, family. Maybe you have students that might be interested in hearing the stories of these professional artists. We also have a pretty exciting secret project that we're working on. I won't go into details here, but if you are interested in teaching or becoming a part of a new kind of online art community, be sure to send me an email at samuel@kingdavisart.com. So make sure you go to Instagram at famous_when_I'm_dead and stay up to date on all the new exciting stuff we got going on. Thanks for watching, and be sure to leave us a thumbs up and a comment below.
That's hard. I would say I have two things in my mind now. The one thing is you have to practice. So it's all about practice. And we already talked about those different areas in the art community and in the art world. And some areas are very art driven and some are consumer driven, and I think you have to look where exactly you fit in or where you want to work. If you really want to work in, let's say, Pixar or some kind of Pixar, Disney, Sony animation stuff, look at your stuff, look at the stuff you see in those art books, and if it fits, and if the quality kind of matches, I would recommend to go out and ask the people if you can work for them. If the quality doesn't match yet, go back to step A, practice. So, and if you work in the live caricature business, look at the other live caricature artists and see where you stand. Can I draw like this guy? Can I already draw like this guy? Or do I want to draw like this guy? And compare your stuff with the stuff you see. Does it fit? So go out and try. Do live caricatures. If it doesn't fit, go back to step A, practice. That's my recommendation. Look where you want to earn the money, where your style and your humor and your interests are, and look if there's some kind of quality there in your stuff and in the stuff you need. I think it's pretty easy.
You're saying this is an answer to people who are looking to get into a particular field of art. You're saying find somebody that is doing it already, and see.
Not only somebody, let's say 10 people. Look at 10 people, and there will be, between those 10 people and those 10 portfolio, I think there will be, even in complete different styles, there will be 80% of overlapping quality, I would say. So in any area, overlapping quality. Optivic and many Artesian. So they are so completely different, but their quality is there's an overlapping quality. Mm-hmm. And if you take your 10 favorite artists and you would put yourself into as an 11th artist, does your quality fit into the quality that's there already? If it does, perfect. Then start. If it doesn't yet, practice.
So you're saying that it's good for someone who wants to get into a certain field to do some research first?
Yes, sure, definitely. Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good to, I think that's good advice, because the fact that we have a vision of what we want and how that's going to look, and we don't really know for real how that's going to look until we talk to people who are doing it. So, I know that there's been some fields that I was interested in getting into. One of them was architecture, and I started doing a lot of research, and it didn't take me long to figure out I didn't want to be an architect, because a lot of the people who went to school for architecture, they just became like basically goats. Like they were just basically doing the work of another architect for 5 or 10 or 15 years.
Yes.
So yeah. Yeah, so doing research, but what about like a principle that you practice to keep your professional career moving forward and to keep learning?
Who aim high. If anyone has his or her heroes, and most of the time the heroes are above you or above your quality. But if you still aim in this direction and keep your antennas open for those hundreds of others heroes that might be around and that you haven't discovered yet. Yes, so aim high. Don't stay hungry. Never stop learning.
And I was gonna add work like hell, but
For me, it's like practice. For me, this is practice. So you never stop practicing. Practice is like the main thing. And if you earn money while practicing because you're at a live gig or you have a job, for me, this is practice too. And you can, you can stay in your comfort zone while doing this job, or you can say, I'm gonna use a different pen, or I'm gonna use a different media, or I will use a different Procreate brush.
Mm-hmm.
Just to stretch muscles that aren't there or that are too weak.
Mm-hmm.
Never try to only be in the comfort zone when it's necessary. There might be days when you're like, oh, I'm so tired, or I'm sad but I have to work. Okay, then maybe stay in your comfort zone that day and do your thing and earn that money. But try as often as possible to get out of this zone.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to say too was it's not just about work. I mean, that's definitely like, for me, if I were to answer that question, it would be perseverance and persistence. But also, when it comes to practice, like it's not practice that makes perfect, it's perfect practice that makes perfect. So what I mean by that is it is important to just keep grinding away and doing it, but also why not get yourself ahead of the game by learning from someone who already has been there and learning the skills that they already have. I mean, a lot of these courses online or classes that you can take, they may be kind of expensive, but it's like you're learning from someone who's been through years and decades of that stuff, and they have like, so you can accelerate your learning in that way. You know, you can really accelerate. You don't have to make all of those mistakes. You'll still make mistakes, and that's good, but you can avoid, a bunch of those mistakes. So
I think that there are people that are good teachers, and there are just people that aren't. They have maybe names, and they maybe are big in schoolism or something like that, but they aren't good teachers because their mind doesn't work in a teaching in a. I'm not sure if they just don't want to share their secrets, but maybe they are just bad teachers.
yeah, because
Great
it's
artists, but
difficult.
bad teachers. Yes.
It's difficult I find that with artists that I work with, like it's really difficult for them to teach while they're doing the art because it's like two different kinds of two different
Thinking.
parts of your
Yes.
brain.
Yes. Yes.
But there
Yes.
is this kind of like magic that happens when you're able to access both of those parts, when you're able to have that creative flow going and teach it at the same time. There's this kind of thing that you can almost feel like unlock in your brain. And for
Yes.
me, when I'm teaching a class, it's like there's this kind of third person in the room. There's like this inspiration. And whenever I might say something about what I'm teaching and I surprise myself, I'm like, that's really good. I never thought of it like that before. Like I'm teaching myself while I'm teaching others.
Yes.
So,
That's a very good point. I think because not everyone can afford those expensive courses, but if you develop a teacher inside you, that helps.
mhm.
I and I don't mean this artistic thing when someone says, "Oh, what a beautiful drawing," and you say, "Nah, it isn't that good," because you want more attention or you want to say that I'm never happy with my stuff. But I mean, don't be happy with your stuff, and because and be able to name what you aren't happy with. Be a teacher and say, okay, yes, this drawing is good in terms of this and this and this, but look at this. I really fucked up maybe the composition or the line work or the colors aren't that good. Or it was black and white. Why didn't I use color? So if you develop a teacher that's a strict teacher and that's saying, okay, not that bad, but, and if I would show you go through those ISCA award-winning stuff that I did, I could see very good things in it. And I'm overall more or less happy with it, but there are so many ways you could improve still in those pictures. And if you have this teacher in your mind and it doesn't cost anything, and if you just look at the pros and look at your heroes and look what they can do, and then look at your stuff and see, I should have tried that, or I wasn't that good in, next time I try to. But it's all about not staying in the comfort zone and practice and look at the good people. I think you have some kind of talk about learning from the masters. Isn't that learning from your thing?
Oh.
Learning from the pros or learning?
You mean on the channel?
I'm not sure yet, but I heard you talk about that. Learning from the pros, or I'm not sure. But this is very, very good. If you take your hero, maybe it's Nate. Take the book of Nate Kapnicki, Beasted, and try to copy. Really study it. Start studying it. What kind of, try to duplicate. If it's a Rembrandt, or if it's a Mona Lisa, or if it's a drawing, or by Manny, or by Jan Optebeek, or by Nate Kapnicki, really start with the copy process, because you will learn to get into his mind, not only with the first drawing or painting. You have to really study. Means more practice. It's the practice, and that helps a lot. If you really study stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that gave me a good idea. Maybe I'll make a video on that. Yeah, because that is a whole thing, to be able to take information from your creative family, like the people who are your influences, and be able to merge that with your own interest and your own juice. Okay, yes. So let's do 10 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
I need to refine these for more of a rapid approach, but this is what I got now. Ready?
Yes.
First one. It's time for rapid fire questions. Ready? Stand-up or skit comedy?
Stand-up. Yes.
And your last meal?
It was a coffee, a very good coffee. Does it count as a meal?
No, you're gonna die and you have one more meal.
You mean that? Oh, my last meal. Noodles with egg, roasted.
Really? Egg noodles?
Yes. Egg noodles. I love egg noodles. If they are properly done. I have to do them myself, because you won't get those egg noodles anywhere.
Like ramen noodles?
Like what?
Ramen noodles?
Ramen?
Ramen?
I don't know ramen.
Just egg noodles, like egg drop noodles, yeah?
Yes, but you have to cook the noodles, and you have to put them in the freezer so they will get dry and cold, and then you can roast them, and you get those roast aromatic, and then the right flavors and eggs. You don't need. Last year I would have said.
You have like onions, or what's in there?
No, it's just noodles and eggs.
Just noodles and eggs. Okay.
Yes, I'm a simple guy.
Okay. You heard it, everyone. Daniel Stieglitz' last meal, noodles and eggs.
Yes.
What book are you reading now, or what show are you watching now?
I don't read that much, but I hear or listen to audiobooks. So I'm listening to a guy called Matt Haig.
Matt Haig.
Matt Haig. He's an author, and he wrote the book Me and Humans, or Just Humans. And it was so funny that I ordered all his books. Now I'm listening to a book. It's more a children's book, A Boy Called Christmas, or something like that. It isn't as good as his first one, but if I discover an author, I try to get into it.
Ah,
Matt Haig. Matt Haig.
okay, okay. I'm listening to Unscripted right now, which is a book about entrepreneurship.
Okay.
It's okay. I have my criticisms, but it's interesting. It's good. He talks about how we are we grow up in this and we're like basically coded and scripted in a certain
Hmm.
way to what we expect life to be like, and how we have to break out of the matrix. So it's
Yes.
pretty interesting. A little bit too much opinion, or maybe a little bit too much politics in there for me, but the concept is good. It's a good book. Okay, what artist do listeners need to look at right now? New artist, or an artist that's come across your radar that's impressed you or you're interested in?
Okay. I have to look up the name because I stumbled over him on Facebook, and he's, I think, a French artist. Let me very quickly look his name. He's a guy, and he started like normal illustration work, like fantasy stuff, and then he started to work with natural material and builds characters out of it. His name is Sylvain Trabu.
How do you spell it?
Syluain, Sylvain, Trabut, Trabut,
T R A U B T E.
Trabut, Sylvain Trabu, maybe. Trabut. Let's pronounce it English. Sylvan Trabut. Trabut.
Maybe you
So
can
I liked it, but it's
send me the typed out name. I'll
yeah.
look him up. Maybe he'll want to do an interview.
It's fantastic. He uses like really very very small stuff. So nuts and those like hair or and he builds very small creatures out of it, and they look so amazingly cute and but so natural because they're made of natural stuff, and he
Yeah.
only uses natural stuff. It's fucking amazing.
All right. I'll put him in the
Fucking
show
amazing.
notes. I'll
Yeah.
put his. Does he have Instagram?
I'm not sure. I've discovered him on Facebook, so
Okay. We'll put
he
a
will be.
link. Put a
I'm pretty
link.
sure he is. Yes.
Favorite new band or musician? Or
I
who are you listening to now?
mainly audiobooks, and I'm very bad in new musicians because I think it's very hard for new music, at least for me, to get my emotions. I
Hmm.
think music is connected with time and with experiences and with something that happens. So for me,
Hmm.
my childhood music is still the music I listen to.
Uh-huh.
I,
And I've been doing
REM,
this. Say again?
REM.
Uh-huh. I did an exercise recently where I looked up all of the popular songs from when I was 13 years old,
Mhm.
and then I made a playlist out of that. And it's great, man. It's so great. All
Yeah,
these memories come back, all these feelings come back.
that's what music is for. I think it brings back time. It's like a time machine music,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's so hard for new music to get into on my playlist. So I'm very conservative
Mm,
in that
yeah.
way. Yes.
Yeah, I really like Childish Gambino. I like
Hmm.
what he's doing. Oh
Okay.
yeah, there's that's the other thing is like now, musicians before were famous for 5 years. Now they're famous for a half a year, and
Yeah.
then they're gone.
Yes.
Oh, we got one person watching. I don't know who it is. It doesn't say. Okay, one person watching. We're going through 10 rapid fire questions. So if you want to say something, write something in the chat so we can get you on. Okay. Next question. What is the worst trouble that you've ever been in?
Trouble.
Trouble.
Whew,
You ever been
yeah.
arrested?
No, no, no. It was like family trouble with my wife. It was fearing that a loved one would might die in a few days. So this
Mm,
was the trouble I was in. Most of the time, my life is in terms of police stuff pretty boring.
No,
So this,
no
I
big
would say
trouble. No
no,
big trouble with your parents, or you never did anything mischievous?
no.
No. Okay. And if you had $1 billion, what would you do with it?
I would make a movie.
Ah,
So
okay.
I'm still the director. The director's heart is still beating in my chest, and I would love to direct a movie, and it's so expensive. At least the movies I would love to make and see after I made them. So I would make a movie. Yes,
Okay.
that would be my thing.
I mean,
Uh,
that's a
science
billion
sci-fi.
dollars, though. I mean, you would spend the whole billion to make a movie. What else would you do?
I think the rest would be like maybe a new car, a new house, something like that. Everyone does, but my project would be making a movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're trapped on an island, what book would you bring? Or album?
Uh, I might bring an empty book so that I can draw and write in myself.
Yeah.
If it's really only one book, I might take something. I'm not Catholic or anything believing, but it might be the Bible because it might. I haven't read it, and there might be something in it, but
Maybe. There might be something in there.
maybe it could help you if you get depressed and you don't have a volleyball and you don't have anything. So,
Yeah.
maybe an empty book to stay to be able to stay creative that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, one nugget of wisdom for young artists today. That's not really a rapid fire question, but
No, because we've already answered it. I would say I would
listen
really
listen to the
recommend.
interview. Listen
Yeah,
to
yeah.
this podcast. That's the answer.
I would say practice, practice, practice. Really, it's all about practice.
Okay. And if you have 1 week to live, what would you do?
I would pack my family and visit friends, all the friends, yes,
Yeah.
all over the world. I think I would do a friends tour with my loved ones.
I think that's the most interesting question that I have, I think, in these rapid fire questions because everyone says the same thing.
You really? Oh,
Yeah. Well, it's not exactly the same thing. It's like, oh, I would spend all my time with my family, but most of the time it's like I'd spend time with my family and friends. So the question there is that, the challenging question for everyone is that why aren't you doing more of that now? You know? So I like that question. I think I might take out the nugget of wisdom one. So I do want to chat. We can wrap up the interview, but I did want to ask you some stuff kind of like off the interview. So
okay.
is there any last thing that you want to plug? Anything that people should do to look you up or support you in any way?
No, I don't need support. Please
Just
don't look me up and stay away of my Instagram.
don't
Really.
look.
No,
Don't look
stay
at
away there.
Daniel Stieglitz Instagram. I'll put it in the show notes, but don't look
No,
at it.
I'm pretty lazy with Instagram. I don't have any product yet. That's why I don't. I think it's good if you have some kind of products and you go to Instagram to kind of raise the selling thing. But I'm producing caricatures, and for me, it's so much time you have to spend there to get big on Instagram, and I don't like to spend that time. And I think at one day I might do something big and it will increase the Instagram thing itself or it doesn't. So, but I don't want to make this oh,
Your
my, my
horse.
my
Yeah.
horse, no, or my bicycle thing here.
Yeah.
I've
I'm at a
better. Yes, no.
I'm with you on that, man. Like I don't know. I talked to C Ding and he says he's like,
Yeah.
he's got
Oh,
what, almost 200,000 now and he hardly gets any. I mean, I know people who have, 50,000 followers and they're like booked on commissions constantly because they do photorealistic portraits. But then with C Ding, for example, his stuff is amazing, but it's not photorealistic. So he's not getting that. Maybe it's
Really?
because he's not marketing it or what. I mean, that was when I talked to him a while ago, but he had about 100,000 followers then. But still, you would think,
Yeah.
So
That's what he told me. He told me we talked 2 years ago in Vienna at Caricature, and he told me when I have 100,000 followers, I can stop, and then I will be like, but it never stops. No.
no, no. I think it's a bottomless pit. I think it really depends on what you do and how you market yourself and what industry that you're in and who knows you and how you got those followers, like what the demographic is. I mean, there's so
Yes.
many
Yeah.
factors.
Yes.
It's kind of exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. Well, thank you all for joining. We're going to cut the live interview part. And Daniel Stieglitz, everybody. The crowd goes wild.